So let's just move a little bit. I remember once, you know, when we were at Wimpole Street, and we were downstairs in the mirror room, and John came out of his bedroom having had his nap, and he came up to me to push hands, and it really felt like he was towering above me, because he was actually taller than me by about an inch. And very quickly, within a few rounds, he had shrunk down until he felt like 2 inches shorter than me. So there's this feeling that when you come back to the work, you're instantly squashed down. You don't really need to sink for very long before the feeling of sinking actually becomes a feeling of something coming up through you, something erupting through you. So something is driving me down, and my legs have no choice but to really fight that, otherwise they'd be crushed. Yeah. So we just want to feel, if you like, the experience of the legs. So my experience is sort of limited to this part of my body, really. So I feel that being pulled down by gravity. But if you think of the experience of my legs, what my legs are doing is struggling to actually push up and hold me up. So my legs have this rising experience, but I have this sinking experience. And it's just an indication that we're out of touch with our legs. The fact that this sinking is the dominant sensation in the body. So we'd just like to sort of get into the legs, not just force our body into them, but get into the experience of the legs. And just so just feel it as you come into this leg, you are actually sinking into it, but the leg is pushing against the ground to hold you up. Yeah? And then I move across here, I am sinking down into the leg, but the leg itself is pushing up through me. So I just like to be with that experience of the rising energy as much as I am with the sinking energy. So something is coming up. Part of me is sinking, but another part of me is rising. Because if I want to be truly present, I need to be in my legs, not in my upper body. My upper body is just transparent and hollow, and my legs are just powering up it. You just feel the leg from the ground. The foot really presses the ground, so that this is pushing upwards, yeah? And here you feel the ground and it comes up. Feels the ground. It's to say, like if you were pushing your car, yeah, you'd really get down into your legs, you'd sink in order to straighten them. So you'd be really in the experience of the legs. And you would hope that that would override the experience of the car pressing into you, so that the car would actually move. So the cardinal sin in Tai Chi is what they call floating. So this sense that you're walking along thinking to yourself, you're unaware of the legs. It's an easy action, and so you can do it mindlessly. We're just trying to get away from all of that. So we're more like workmen So we're in the legs, we're feeling the legs. So it's as I sink into the leg comes up into me. Yeah, so just imagine it's just very difficult. You remember back in the 80s, there was that Czechoslovakian female 800-meter, 400-meter runner. Can't remember her name, the one that looked like a man. Her record still holds for the 800 meters. I saw a program on how she trained, and her trainer, she lived on a farm, her trainer used to tie a rope around her middle, and on the end of the rope, there'd be tractor tires, and she'd have to run dragging these tractor tires behind her. So just imagine how much she was in the legs. So she was being pulled into the legs all the time, and the legs really had to power. Yeah, so that's the sense that we want. So we're not here. We can't afford to be here thinking, because we need so much attention in the legs. That's it. So just feel it. In order to get down, in order to sink, yeah. So how do I get my sacrum close to the ground? How do I actually get it down? The knees really have to go out. Otherwise, I'm over the leg like this. If I keep my knee in, I'm over the leg. But if I let the knee go out, then I can really squat down. So there's a sense that the knees are going out and up, and my hips are coming forwards towards each other and down. Yeah, so here, this is really, I'm somehow got to get this hip down. Yeah. That's when I have most springy buoyancy in the leg. So this joint, it has to be really open. People that have it best are the sumo guys. So just feel that joint, yeah. Yeah, so this will only get down if the knee has rolled out. And the knee will roll out if you let it. So if you stop trying to control the legs and give them orders and just let the knee venture out, then it will draw this down. Yeah. So in a sense, we're just trying to experience the world from down there rather than from on high. But that just requires a completely different mindset. Yeah. So one where you're not giving your body orders. Your body, in the sense, is in more control than your mind is. Your mind is just perceiving. It's just taking in information. It's watching and listening. It's not giving orders. The body can look after itself. Yeah, so just feel the hips, and I want to get the hip down. Yeah. If I push myself with this leg, then I will end up being over the leg, over this leg. If I let this knee venture out, then it will pull my hip down to the ground. Yeah. This is what we want. So pulling with the legs is necessary to actually sink. Okay. So now let's just come back to riding horse. Yeah, so we have our two principles of station, which are sink and relax, and the spine just reaching a natural verticality. So this feeling that your sacrum is heavy and your head is light. So your head is like a balloon that's wanting to float upwards, and your sacrum is like a heavy weight that's pulling down into the legs. Yeah. So what we want to feel is just the tendency for the sacrum to drift forwards because of the angle of the thighs. So there's a sense that you're getting through the legs and into the ground. And then you've got this feeling that the legs are squeezing up, right up into the armpits. And then just allowing gravity into the body. So rather than it being a force that's acting upon my body, it's an energy flowing through my body. So there's a sense that I'm porous and there's this liquid flowing down and then splitting at the sacrum down the legs. And feeling the feet really spreading on the ground. So you have roots growing down through the feet into the ground, and they are collecting energy that's surging up through the body. So the two principles of station, sink and relax, spine vertical, they tend to keep us still. And then the two principles of motion, just single weightedness and the turning. Yeah. So let's try just turning, but again with the legs. So we've been turning very lightly recently, almost like just floating around. Now we want to just really screw into the ground. So use the turn to really screw into the legs. So as you turn to the right, you tend to come into the right foot, but then the right foot is also pushing back to keep you in the middle. And then I come into this foot, but the foot is keeping me here, yeah? So we don't want to do this too much, yeah? It's turning. You're connecting to the root. I'm connecting to this root, and then I'm connecting to this root. Yeah, so the single weighted component is really this sense that you're doing opposite things with each side of the body. So you're coming into one leg, out of the other one. One leg is tightening, the other one is releasing. The energy is going down one leg, but up the other one. This sort of idea. So just feel it in the feet. As you go into the foot, your toes sort of do this, but the other toes open up. And then this one crunches and this one opens up. So you can do it with the hand. So the hand that's disappearing behind you, you make a fist, and this hand is really open. And then you'll find you're doing the same thing with your feet. 1, 2. And again, just getting into the legs, just trying to feel what the legs are feeling. Okay. Okay, so now let's try this. And then just turning. So we want this feeling now of the buttock. Like your buttock gets really big and droops down the leg. So you're just turning. So this feeling here. So you don't want this feeling of this, yeah, or breaking here and letting the buttock go behind. It droops down the leg. It gets really bulbous. And then this one. Ooh. Ooh. So like the bulbous buttock is melting down the back of the leg, and it almost reaches the ground. Ooh. Yeah, so your legs are 2 and your torso and head are 1. So there's this feeling that your legs are trying to sort of claim your torso. Your leg is dragging the buttock down into it. So like the cleft of the buttocks gets higher and higher up the spine, almost like you're splitting into two from the back. Ooh. So it's that release in the hip as you turn into the leg that allows the buttock to split from your body and drop down. So it's this release here, the release that lets the knee out and the hip down. Ooh. Yeah, so it's like the energy is not really in the work, the energy is in the emotion. So that's what we're looking for all the time. We're looking for this feeling of being opened up. Whoa, something in me. I almost gulp for breath because it's so heart expanding. Whoa. Yeah, so this feeling that the yield turns into this containment. So here I'm yielding here, but that throws the arm back. So I've got this sort of whirlpool doing this, and that really sucks down into the ground. If it was just this, it would be okay. It wouldn't, it wouldn't feel so emotional because you just let the thing go past you. But it's the fact that not only do you have to get out of the way and allow the person through, you have to embrace them. Yeah? So you yield here, and then you really imagine they're really big. Just how open do you have to get to put your arms around them? Yeah? And it's that really aches at the heart. One. And it's like the heavy buttock is like the anchor. Without that, you just lose it. So somehow the heaviness here just allows me to open up and keep my equilibrium. So if I let my bum out at this point, that's when I lose it. That's when it all gushes up into the heart. So I need to keep the upper body empty. I need to make sure everything is sunk down into my buttock. Whoa. Ooh. And this is just in the form everywhere. Yeah, so without the sinking, without the heavy buttock, you just become too invested in your own feelings. So you need to be open without getting carried away with how it feels. You just register that it's tricky and just keep going with the sinking, keep the ooh. Okay. So now let's just bring the feet up a bit, otherwise they'll kill us. And then, okay, let's just, now just leaning, so sort of like the sumo guys, yeah? But again, getting this fold, I'm wanting this part here to sink down, yeah? And then I just let the foot come up a little bit and just feel it. And as soon as you bring the foot up, your knee wants to come back in because it doesn't quite believe it. So we've got to keep this knee out, keep the hip down, and just, oh, oh. So just imagine you're leaning over, you're bending down to pick up a bag. Ooh. So it's the hips here. Yeah, so it's one of those situations where being cautious is not recommended. You've got to keep this going out somehow so that this can go down here. So what is it in the mind that's just not wanting the knee to venture? It's partly tightness across the back, but also it's just a lack of spirit, what we call depression. So knees going out. Okay. Let's just come back. Okay. And now let's try just 1 foot forwards, just going backwards and forwards. But again, with the feeling that the knee is traveling, and the knee is not just going forwards, it's taking me down. Yeah. And the same, the back knee is the difficult one. This knee has to go out and really draw me into it and allow this to go down. Yeah. Yeah, so sinking into the leg swings this around. And then I somehow have to go back without swinging around like this, keeping this back here. That's really difficult because this has to be so open. Whoa. And again, just feel the legs. So as you come into the leg, it's filling up. The leg is rising with the energy, even though your hip is dropping. So there's this sense of something coming up from the ground. Wow. So it's my knees that are taking me. Exactly the same way if you were fleeing for your life. It would be your knees that would be charging forwards. Wow. And then wow. So again, so Yeah, so our culture tells us that it's wrong to keep slaves and it's wrong to be a fascist. And yet, in relation to our legs, that's exactly what we are. So we just want to let the legs move us, specifically the knees. So, whoa. And when it's the legs idea, then they don't really hurt in their struggle because it's difficult work, but they don't protest unless you've got an injury. It's only really when you're ordering them around, telling them what to do, saying, okay, bend and support my body, that's when they start hurting and protesting. But if it's their idea, it's a problem with the knee, look to the hip. And remember, it's the back leg that's difficult because that tends to be on the back foot. And so to get it to be active is quite tricky. Ooh. And then here. So it's like, step back to a pulse monkey. You don't just drive yourself back from the front foot. Your back foot claims the ground, and that will bring the energy up into the opposite hand. Now let's just get it going with this. If you can let the energy come through the body, it often eases it up. So here, I just lift the heel a little bit and then I just pull and just feel that surge up through the body. Pull. And just feel how the knees, the activity in the knees is what produces the whole here, but specifically here. Yeah? So it's the knee wanting to go out that sucks this area open. And then the same with the back foot. 1 and 2. Yeah, so the round shape that we get in the arm, that should come from the leg. So your leg and your arm basically doing exactly the same thing. And think in terms of the knees wanting to go out and up and the elbows wanting to come in and down. Wow. So I really have to send it out here and then and so I'm yielding. Okay. Let's just come back to this. Just feel the two buttocks, yeah. So this one wants to flop down here, and this one wants to flop down here. And is all I have to do is just turn very slightly and bring the weight very slightly into the leg, and it will just feel like it's drooping and dripping. Yeah, so one side and then the other. So when you're standing and riding horse, there's always this sense that your two sides are flowing away from each other. Like this, yeah. And then you get a real sense of the dantian then actually holding you together in the middle. So the stillness is there because things have settled down, not because you've instituted a stiffness. So everything should be really free to move. The slightest breeze and you'd start moving and turning. It's just that it's settled down. So just feel the breath, feel the heartbeat, feel the throb. Feel the ground throbbing up into your legs. All the time, these drooping. They'll always try and come back up because the legs are hurting. Okay, and now let's just try this one. So down the back, splits at the buttocks, at the sacrum. So 1, 2. Good. And then just back to here. Okay, now let's just squat down for a minute or so. So here, the spread across the lower back. My elbows are trying to keep my knees apart, not too much, otherwise you'll just get tense across the back. And just shift the weight, grab foot to foot a little. So like 30% of the weight is moving around. Feel the two sides of the body. So it's like that cleft is wanting to split up your spine all the way to your neck. And then just bring the hands forwards. So reach as far forwards as you can with the hands. Put them on the floor. Feel the coldness or the roughness of the carpet if you've got a carpet. And then just bring the weight over the arms, and just, it's in the arms really that we can feel them filling up. And just feel the arms just filling up with strength to support you. So you're just bringing about 50% of the weight forwards. So you're almost sort of like equal hands and arms now. And again, just shifting the weight from side to side a little bit, just to keep the lower back opening up. And then deliberately just push yourself back and just feel the arms working. So as they straighten, they're emptying of your weight until they're empty and they can come off the ground and become energetic, become expressive, express the way you are. So whilst they're on the ground, they're just doing a job, they're supporting you, they don't really have any expression. And then place them again, very deliberately. Feel them spreading to contact as much area with the ground. And then just come forwards, slowly filling them up, feeling them taking on that strength of support. So you want that strength to come all the way up the arm and meet on your middle back. So you're just pumping the weight forwards and back a little bit and side to side a little bit. Just keeping the strength in the arms. And just feeling the little bit of freedom in the legs, especially the toes. You only need to have like the big toe on the ground. Then slowly push back. Feel the arms having to get stronger to push you backwards. And then gradually the arms will empty as your legs fill until your hands can come off the ground and can be hands again. Feel the spine. So it just, when you use the arms to support yourself, you just get energy into the middle of the back. Spine just is slightly different. Let's try one more. So the hands down, slowly bring the weight forwards. Feel the arms, feel your mood. What mood do you need to have these strong supportive arms? It's very different than the playful mood that you have when your hands are in the air. just move around once you're in position. Yeah, just move to help everything open up, help the strength get into the arms and the back, help the lower back open up a little bit. The ankles can release a little bit because you've got movement in them. And then just push back. Arms empty. And then back up. We're getting old. And then just here a little bit. Yeah, so just feel these pockets. They should feel sort of just really open here and here, tender. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to drop the elbows and let the knees collapse in because it would crush these areas here. And that's where you yield into. Okay, so now let's just try going up to single whip each side. Yeah, so single whip and then straight into crossing hands. So I'll start off on the left side so that we're going to step this way, yeah. Yeah, so what is it that starts the movement? It's the yield. It's this break here, breaking into that leg. That enables me to step out. And then this knee pulls out and that sucks me across. And then breaking at the hip, turning, making sure this knee doesn't come in. And then just knee takes me forwards and the arms embrace. Again, I'm wanting this hip to drop, so my knee really has to go out. And then I step, and then this knee travels forwards. Whoa. And that brings this hip down. And then this is really tricky, this. Yeah, so here somehow got to get into this leg without this hip coming up. Yeah. So the knee really has to go out. Step, and then, so the knee forwards and away, and the hip down and in. And then same thing here. So this opening up because I bring my heel up and let the knee go out. So that hip is dropping. And then this hip, whoa. And then this one's yielding. This one is yielding. This one is attacking. This one is attacking. And then again here. Whoa. And then here's these tight bits that are tricky. Somehow get the knee out. Whoa. And then just come into crossing hand or push, you know. Whoa. Again, here you see this is wanting to happen, so somehow I have to get this, yeah. And then to the side. So again, here, step. So here, these are bending, and that's sucking the elbows in and down. And then here, turning, keeping this knee out. Ooh, there we go. Can't do it with the other leg. So one. Yeah. And then this is tricky. Again, this is down, knee is out. And this knee, back knee, front knee, back knee. This is now the back knee, so somehow keeping that knee out. And then just, so it's like pull, push, and then yielding, yielding, and yeah, so the knees want to go out, and that actually pulls the hips towards each other, but down. That's the main thing, is the down. So you can see if I let the knees collapse in, then these want to go out. Yeah? So it's the opposite of that. Yeah, so that feeling of sort of life and spirit in the legs, in a way, it's just like a child. You know, a child can never sort of be still; they're always moving around. Yeah, so your upper body is still, but your legs are sort of itching to go. So even though they've been working, they just love movement. Especially if you're on your feet. When you're sitting down and lying down, it's a bit different. Okay, great.